Today, we're diving into something huge happening in India, a massive legal cleanup called the Jan Vishwas Bill. Now, this isn't just some boring legal document. It's a really bold move to completely rewrite the rulebook for literally millions of people and businesses. And it all boils down to one powerful, simple idea.
Okay, let me ask you this. Could a small mistake at work, something tiny, like a simple typo on a form, actually land you in jail or give you a criminal record? Well, for decades in India, the answer was a shocking yes. And that right there is the core problem that this huge legal overhaul is trying to fix.
So, before we get into the solution, we really need to get our heads around the problem. You see, a lot of India's rules and regulations have these deep, deep roots in its colonial past, and they were basically built on an idea of suspicion, not trust.
Yeah, for decades, the laws in India kind of treated everyday citizens and businesses like they were automatically up to no good. This whole mindset created a system where the government acted more like a watchdog than a partner. It led to this culture that people call the Inspector Raj. A tangled mess of rules and red tape where even a tiny, honest mistake could be treated like a serious crime.
There's actually a technical term for this. It's called overcriminalization. And what it means is you're using the really heavy-duty tools of the criminal justice system. We're talking courts, jail time, a permanent criminal record, for what are often just minor, technical slip-ups. It's basically like using a sledgehammer to crack a nut. Total overkill.
And this table, wow, it really lays out the massive shift in thinking. On the one hand, you've got the old way of doing things, right? Everything's based on suspicion, the main tool is threatening jail time, and the government pretty much acts like a roadblock. But on the other hand, you have the new Jan Vishwas framework. The foundation, trust. The tool, simple monetary penalties. And the government's role, to be a helper, a facilitator for growth. It's a night and day difference.
But look, this old system wasn't just some abstract philosophical problem. Oh no, it had huge, and I mean huge, real-world costs for the entire country.
Just look at this number. Over 31 million. Let that sink in. That's how many criminal cases are currently pending, just stuck, clogging up India's entire court system. And the crazy part is, a huge chunk of them aren't for what you'd think of as serious crimes. Nope. They're for those small-time regulatory issues we've been talking about. The whole system is just completely buried.
And this is so much more than just a statistic. Think about it. This massive backlog means that for people who are victims of actual serious crimes, justice gets delayed, sometimes for years. At the same time, it creates this constant climate of fear, especially for small business owners, the real engine of the economy. They end up spending way more time and money worrying about red tape than they do on actually growing their business and creating jobs.
So, the big question is, how on earth do you fix a system that's so fundamentally built on distrust? Well, the answer, or at least the proposed answer, is the Jan Vishwas Bill. And that name is key. It literally translates to public trust.
The official report on the bill uses this really powerful metaphor. It compares this whole legal cleanup to the descent of the Ganga. In Indian culture, that's this incredibly potent symbol of a purifying, cleansing force that washes away all the old junk to make way for something new and prosperous. That's the idea here, to wash away all these old, clunky laws and create a modern, streamlined system.
And really, what this all boils down to is a complete reset of the relationship between the government and the people. It's about moving away from that old top-down approach of we're watching you and we'll punish you, and moving towards a true partnership, where everyone is working together for the country's growth.
Okay, so how does this actually work? This isn't about just letting people off the hook, right? Not at all. It's about making the punishment actually fit the crime. The whole process is about smart, strategic decriminalization.
It really breaks down into 4 main steps. Step 1, get rid of the threat of jail time for small stuff. Step 2, and this one is absolutely key, change court-imposed fines into simple administrative penalties. Step 3, if it's your first time making a mistake, maybe just a warning is enough. And finally, Step 4, set up a clear, efficient system to handle all this outside of the overloaded criminal courts.
Now, this difference between a fine and a penalty is the absolute heart of this whole reform. Think about it. A fine means you're a criminal. It means courts, lawyers, a long, drawn-out process. A penalty, well, that's a civil matter. It's more like a parking ticket. An administrative officer handles it, it's fast, and most importantly, it doesn't stain your record. This one change is the secret sauce to unclogging the courts. Let's look at a perfect real-world example from something called the T Act. Before, if you made a mistake on a form, what they call a false return, you could literally be dragged to court and get a criminal fine. Now, under the new system, the first time it happens, you just get a warning. If you do it again, okay, you pay a monetary penalty. But it's all handled through a simple administrative process. No court date, no criminal record. It's just sensible. So you have to understand, this isn't just about tweaking a few laws here and there. No. These changes are actually a cornerstone of a much, much bigger vision for India's future. We're talking about its huge national goal of becoming a developed nation by the year 2047.
The end goals here are super clear. By slashing all that fear and red tape, the aim is to boost the ease of doing business, make it simpler for people to start and grow companies. And by simplifying the laws, the hope is to improve the ease of living for everybody. It all feeds into this big idea of minimum government, maximum governance. Basically, creating a government that helps you, not one that gets in your way. All of this is paving the road to what's being called Viksit Bharat, a developed India.
And just to give you a sense of scale here, this is absolutely massive. We're talking about changing 78 different laws, decriminalizing almost 700 specific rules, and wiping more than 1,000 criminal offenses completely off the books. This isn't just dusting the shelves, it's a deep, systemic, top-to-bottom cleanup.
So, we end with this final thought. The Jan Vishwas bill, it's more than just a legal reform. It's really a bet on the people of India. It's a massive experiment to see if you can legislate trust back into a system. And that leaves us with a really deep question, right? Can changing the laws on paper actually change a nation's culture? Can you really shift a whole mindset from one of suspicion to one of genuine trust? The answer to that question, well, it's going to define India's next chapter.